What's up, everybody? Day 74. It is officially the second full day of statewide quarantine, which is weird because I've seen like a bunch of stuff about people who have stayed in for like 4 or 5 days already. And I'm like, what? Like you guys stayed in like when? Like the statewide quarantine thing wasn't even until Thursday, and it was like Thursday at 5 o'clock. So how do people have time to stay in before then and all that other stuff? Like I don't know. But either way, day 74. I don't know how to elaborate more on my gut feeling. I don't know how to elaborate more on anything really, because there hasn't been a lot of progress being made. News is coming out, and we're hearing a lot about Italy here now. Don't get me wrong, this is gonna sound very bad. Italy is important country, important for those citizens over there. But I don't think we should be very concerned about Italy's death toll right now. Should we be concerned because it's gonna tell us what could happen here? Absolutely. Should we keep blasting it on the media and the news every 30 seconds so we can keep getting people more and more worried about it? Like looking up on the news, looking up all this stuff, and then finding 800 people have died in Italy in a single day. Like that's not like again, that's not something we as Americans I think should be seeing in our screens every freaking day. And I'm not saying it like, oh, we need to shield ourselves from this. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying like the media is super important and how all these things is progressing, how things are changing right now, and all the media they're basically saying like fuck all, tell them everything, and obviously that's going to inspire a lot of panic. People panic. Like that just happened. You see this with the toilet paper again. I'm gonna keep bringing it up. You see this with the canned food. Like people honestly believe we're going to go in like starvation mode. And what people may not understand is that it's not that we're running out of food. It's just that people are hoarding it as soon as the shipments come in. Everything is still working perfectly fine. One of the things that I've been thinking, like, I just don't like the speed of which all this is progressing, because we don't really know what's going on. If you think about it, most of the people alive, in fact, I think all of the people alive have never gone through a situation like this. And yet, we're progressing through a plan that it seemed like the US already had this planned very, very quickly, very efficiently. And if anything, right, I think we could all agree on one of the things our government system has been consistent in is being very, very slow. And the fact that things are moving so quickly now in a pandemic and something that really hasn't been experienced by anyone alive today, it's a little weird. It comes off as a little off-putting, a little weird. It's like, wait, so you guys already had a plan for this? Like one thing that I found weird is that they're canceling graduations and stuff that are all the way in June and July. Like they're basically expecting it to go that far, and it's barely March. Like what if this thing dies tomorrow, or what if it dies next month? Are those graduations still going to be canceled? So canceling shit that is that far ahead, I don't know. That's a little weird to me. And then another thing that's weird is they haven't released all of the ages of the people that died. They've only released the elderly ages. They've only released a median age. They don't release why people are getting tested and why there's celebrities that have been tested. I don't go into the argument like, oh, they have money, of course, but I know, think about it like in terms of scarce resources, right? Which is all economics is, scarce resources. Why does someone like Idris Elba, who has shown no symptoms, decides to get tested randomly and then he comes out positive? Like, okay, like I thought the tests were being reserved for people that actually have at least a couple symptoms, like fever and cough or whatever. Like it's totally weird. And then you have Paul Dybala from Juventus who just came out and was positive, and he's perfectly healthy. He's not showing any symptoms. Him makes a little more sense because he had another teammate that was positive. But if they're not showing symptoms, if they're young and healthy and it's not affecting them, why why even get tested? Why are we getting, like, why haven't I been tested? Like, why haven't there been like a shipment of tests here in the AV, where we have 3 positive cases already? Like, I'm not hearing of anybody getting tested. I'm not seeing any of those testing tents that they're putting up in other states. Like, I'm not seeing none of that here. And it's just weird, this whole stimulus package thing. Like, I've never seen a stimulus package go through like that freaking quickly. Like, it's gonna get voted on Monday. Like, that's 2 days from now. That's insane. It's $1 trillion, and it's $1,000 for every American. Supposedly, most of the money is gonna go to the big businesses to keep us afloat. Now, that's a whole different argument whatsoever. My father actually believes that it'd be a lot easier to just give every single American So roughly around 370 million people, $1 million instead of spending a million millions. Like in his mind, they're spending $1 million, which is true. That's a trillion, but they're spending that just to keep the economy afloat. They're not really stimulating the economy. The way to really stimulate is to give a million to every person, which is only 380 million roughly, and then that'll stimulate it even better. So if you guys want to put in your input on that, please do. But I actually agree with I don't agree with what he's saying about like how that's going to stimulate the economy better. And I don't know how to feel about this stimulus package because $1,000, let's be honest, guys, $1,000 in your pocket right now. I know some of you will be ecstatic, but $1,000 is nothing. All right, you cannot live with $1,000. Like, if you really think that $1,000 is going to be like, yes, this is amazing, this is just what I needed, kudos to you. I'm glad you're getting it. But in terms of mortgage, in terms of bills, stuff like that, come on, $1,000. What is that really going to do for you guys? It's going to hold you over for like a week, 2 weeks max. Like, we are not conservative people. And when I say conservative, I don't mean Republicans. I mean like conservative in our finances, conservative in all this stuff. We're not. Like, that's just what Americans are. They're about spending and shit. So $1,000 now, I guarantee you, is gonna get spent right away. Like, oh, we can buy 1,000 rolls of TP now. Perfect. Let's do it. Shit like that. So, I don't know. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. Again, nobody has gone through this. Not the politicians, not anybody. Like, we are like, the closest thing that comes to mind is the H1N1 virus and the Ebola outbreak of 2014, right? But none of those things inspired this pandemic level, and none of them have inspired this panic shopping or anything. I was talking to a neighbor, and he said the closest thing this reminds me of was 9/11. Now, I was young at 9/11, like I was literally 2 or 3, so I wouldn't know. But he went through the Ebola outbreak, he went through the H1N1. He didn't even think of those. He was just thinking 9/11. So the fact that we've had two, not arguably more, okay, Ebola definitely more dangerous. H1N1, I'm not sure. Like, I don't really know. But Ebola for sure is dangerous. There's still no treatment on that shit, okay? Like, if any sickness was going to force us to lock down, I think it should be Ebola. It should not be coronavirus. And I get it. It's novel. We don't know it. It's a different strain. But I think my dad brought up a really good point. And, I don't know what you guys are gonna think about this, but we were talking about this, and you guys know all this stuff like, oh, is it really Chinese? Is it really American? People have said that there was Americans in Wuhan right before the first outbreak, stuff like that. My dad really just stopped and he thought about it, and he goes, well, the way I see it is those people, Chinese people, have been eating that way for centuries and nothing has happened to them. So why all of a sudden is it bad for their meat markets, and why all of a sudden are we growing these new diseases? And that just made me think. I'm like, well, yeah, if they've been eating like that for years, decades, why is the new disease all of a sudden coming out? Now, there's a lot of factors to it. It's really not that simple. Like, I wanted to tell him, like, China is barely going through its economic revolution right now. Like, back then it was more socialist than capitalist. And I think it would be very hard to keep track of records like that. Like, if there was an epidemic, or if there was like a mass murder or mass amount of people dying over a sickness, and like there's no people there to record it properly, stuff. There's so many factors. But I think that's a fair point to make. Like, it's true. I mean, they've been eating, they were saying that Wuhan meat market, there's all that stuff, the bats, all that stuff. Like, they've been eating like that for decades, more than decades. And just now, that disease is coming to light. Like, that's true. Like, shouldn't that disease have come out a while ago already? So, I don't know. Very interesting on both ends. I still have a weird gut feeling about it. I'm not going to be able to explain it because I think I need to figure it out on my own first. But the speed of which all this stuff is happening, that's like the first sign that something is weird. Because again, I'm still adamant that most people, in fact, all people, have not gone through something like this yet. Or the nearest thing I could think of was like the 1918 Spanish flu. Like, that was huge. That was a huge deal. But again, that was 1918. What's the likelihood of anyone being alive from then still being alive now? Not very likely. And so that might have been like the last pandemic outbreak of like that comes to mind, a recent century. So people really don't know what to expect from this. People really don't know what's gonna happen. So, but the fact that they're rolling out things so quickly, the fact that states are shutting down so quickly, and then there's a stimulus package getting passed so quickly, it's like, wait, there's a rule book to this, there's a guidebook to this. Like, you guys just wrote this down, or like, what's happening? And again, canceling shit all the way in June and July. That tells me that it's gonna go to June and July. That's like them saying like, oh yeah, for sure it's gonna happen. That's weird. That's totally weird. How could they confidently say this is going to go through to June and July when there's news that, Trump just tried to buy the exclusive rights to a vaccination in Germany? That tells me two things. One, Germany is getting pretty damn close to a vaccine. And two, why doesn't Trump want that vaccine to be shared with the whole world? Why does he want the exclusive rights of that vaccination for the American people? He offered that company $1 billion, and I bet you no one's heard of this. And I'll tell you why. Because they're using the coronavirus as a way to hide all the other shit that's going on. Now, how do you find all the shit that's going on? That's the question, because when you turn on the news right now or you try to look up news, it's all about the coronavirus. Did you guys know? You guys, right there, listen right here to my longest vlog ever. So I'm so sorry this is not entertaining, and I don't like it going this long, but I just have so much to say. But did you guys know, this is just one example, there is a law being passed right now. It's either in the House and the Senate. It's a bipartisan bill, Republican, Democrat, to get rid of web encryption, to get rid of that encryption that saves our messages from being hacked into, like WhatsApp, Facebook, whatever the case was, right? Most messaging systems have this encryption thing where like it's only you and the guy that's sending it or whatever. Only you guys can read your message, but nobody can hack into it, and now they're trying to get rid of it and say that it's to fight our struggles against child pornography. Like, that's not something that would regularly get past us as the American people. Like, we already don't have privacy as it is, but now them getting rid of the encryption, getting rid of that one thing that may actually help us stay at least a little bit private, now they're getting rid of it. And let's be honest, if the coronavirus wasn't going on and we actually had like people on this and we're like watching all the laws going on, do you think that's something that would pass without any problem? I don't. I think there's going to be a lot of people that should be mad about it and a lot of people that would fight against it, So, but the fact that coronavirus is taking over every headline right now, most people aren't even aware of it. And by the time, let's say it passes, God forbid, right? We're still going to be worried about it. And then like 4 months, 5 months down the line, when it's all over, we're going to be like, wait a minute, what happened to our encryption? Oh, it passed a law and now we're fighting child pornography. Weird. Totally weird. So, I don't know what to make of all this information. I will keep investigating. I will keep reading. I will keep doing everything I need to just see what I can come up with. But something definitely feels off, guys. But stay at home. Do whatever you got to do. I don't know if you guys could hear it. You probably could. I'm getting a little sick. Not the perfect timing. I don't know if it's definitely not corona. I don't feel feverish, body aches, fatigue, none of that. I have a runny nose. It's like stuffy. It could just be allergies. Like, that's what it is. But my mom is like really freaking out. She's like, you have the code, and that's going to turn into the coronavirus. I'm like, what? How? I'm like, sure, okay, whatever. So I'm telling her it's allergies. I think it's allergies. But that's why my voice sounds a little funny, so please excuse that. But anyways, it's been 13 minutes. This is totally the longest vlog I've ever done, so I do apologize. You don't have to watch this whole thing whatsoever. But 365 Transformation, we're still doing this. It's day 74. Let's get it. I will see you guys tomorrow.